Good evening or good morning, depending on where you are. My name is Raluca, and I'll be your host for the 40th edition of the webinar titled LIVRESQ Empower Your Teaching. We're here to learn about our tool, LIVRESQ, a tool designed to help you create interactive lessons or interactive digital materials for students. So it's an e-learning authoring tool. And what we do in these webinars typically is go through some of the common features or some of the settings that you can make in LIVRESQ to help you build courses or to help you build lessons that are engaging for your students. And we have a very important topic for tonight. It's going to be quite short, but it is something that we get asked about a lot because it's very rare that we can have any type of educational content without text. And again, people tend to get more and more scared about large chunks of text nowadays. So we want to show you what solutions we have to make text more engaging and to make it more, to help you build text that is more interactive. Because the main characteristic of an online learning experience is for it to be as interactive as possible. So what I'm going to show you is two LIVRESQ resources that are catered to making text more interactive. We'll also see that you can add images to these resources. That's 100% possible. And we'll see how you can create text or how you can use text in the simple text resource as well. But my main purpose is to show you these two aspects. And if there are any questions, please do not hesitate to stop me or to write a comment, to write in the Zoom chat. I'm following the live on Facebook as well, so don't hesitate to reach out and ask the question. I can answer in real time. If you're watching a recording of this, as I know is the case for most of you, so if by any chance you're watching a recording of this, leave a comment and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right, so now I'm going to share my screen with our tool, and I'm sharing straight inside a LIVRESQ project, an empty LIVRESQ project. This is not the easiest way to begin, but just so that we can focus only on text and what we can do, on what we can do with text. So we have two resources that are catered to making text more interactive. And these two resources are the accordion, which can be found here. To drag new resources in LIVRESQ, you just drag them from the left and you place them inside your section, and the tabs. And what I mean by making text more interactive is that text, it's not just a block of text now or titles and subtitles. We have a resource that allows us to hide content and to show it, and we can ask students, we can ask learners to click on each title in order to navigate through the content. So the difference between the accordion and the tabs is that in the accordion, initially, all of my titles are closed, but for the tabs, similar to the tabs in a browser, one of them is automatically open. So it really depends on what my purpose is. For teachers who build materials that they use inside the classroom, I've seen this used a lot as asking a question and then clicking to show the students the answers. It really depends. It's up to you on how you decide to use it. The main purpose of it, however, is that the student or the learner gets to discover something. You get to discover something hidden behind a title. I know we're talking about text, but as a general rule in LIVRESQ, wherever you can add text, you can also add images, and we'll see that in a second. I'll just delete what I've added so we can start over, and maybe you can follow along. So we'll start with the accordion. To add an accordion to a LIVRESQ section, we're going to take it from the left, and we're going to drag and drop it inside the section. And it works in the same way. When I want to edit something, I will double click it. In order to edit my accordion, I have to write the titles and the content for each of my items. And I have 1, 2, 3 items. If I want to delete or remove an item, I have this remove button. If I want to add another one, I can use the add item button. Whenever I want to change the content, maybe write title here. This is my content. If I click on any of these boxes, I can see that I have access to the text editing menu, and the text editing menu gives me a lot of options in terms of editing text in general. I can add links, I can add images here, I can add tables, I can add formulas as well if I wanted to. So there's no limitation in terms of what content I can add in an accordion. When I go back to the section, I can see that now it's changed. I have my title and my content. We can preview it. I click on the title, I reveal my content. If I want to add an image instead of text, or text plus image, sorry, I can click on the image icon here. I can go to add image, which allows me to either upload an image from my computer or use a stock photo. I can search through stock photos. The search term that initially appears here is book. Well, we're going to keep it like this, but you can you can type in any search word that you want, and you can select from multiple sources. Then once you decide on a certain image, you can select its resolution, and it will automatically be integrated. Now, this is a bit large for my taste, so what I'd like to do is make it a bit smaller. Hold on. I clicked on advanced here on this cogwheel, and I have access to changing its dimensions in pixels. So now it's a little bit smaller. What this will do in preview mode, and I'm going to enter preview mode or view mode from the accordion, not going back to the section. This is what it looks like. I click on the first title and I get the first content. I click on the second title and I also get the image. So it's not just about text, but it is a resource designed to make text more interactive and to hide content behind behind a title. You get the student to click on something, you get them to discover something. There are a few other options for this resource, besides the usual ones that have to do with background color, with writing a title for the resource bar. We'll just write accordion. We can also select its background color, the background image, change the graphic theme, even in detail if you click on this cogwheel here. We can add a border to it, or, and this is quite a recent change, you can enable sequential toggling. And I'll show you in a second what this does. We're just going to go into view mode. And if this is not enabled, I click on a title and then it stays open the moment I click on the other title. If I decide to go for sequential toggling, I click on the first title, and when I click on the second title, the first one closes, which again is something that has to do with the decision of the creator of the material. So it's up to you whether you want to have this or not. It's up to you on whether this is useful for you or not. In terms of use cases, sometimes when accordions are really long, it might be useful to close one title before you open the next one. So again, we drag and drop it. We double click on it to edit. And we can change the title, and below the title is the content. By the way, you can add images for titles as well, which would allow us to add icons or any other graphical representation that might be useful for you. So all of this can be changed. If I want to remove a title, I have the remove button, the remove item button, and if I want to add another item, I can click on the blue plus sign, and I can keep adding as many titles as I want to my accordion. This is one resource. The next resource works very similarly, and I showed you in the beginning. It's called tabs. I can do the same thing and drag and drop it to my section. In order to edit the tabs resource, I do the same thing. I double click on it, and I have 3 items again, the same editing interface, only now I'm editing tabs. So I have the first title. This is my content. I have title 2, and I have content 2. I can delete one of the items. I can add multiple items again. There are no other settings for the tabs. It's quite a straightforward resource. If I go into view mode, I can see that I have two titles, and when the student or the learner clicks on a certain tab, then they get the content for the next one. Bear in mind that if you're designing courses for smaller screens, and if you add a lot of titles here, maybe we'll just say title 3 and title 4. If this is viewed on a smaller screen, and we can simulate this by using this button up here, we can simulate a phone, for instance. On a smaller screen, not all the titles will be displayed, but I get this little arrow that allows me to navigate through all of the tabs. So the accordion works fine. This is what I meant when I said that it might be useful to close the previous one, especially if you want to display them on a smaller screen, for instance, and I don't have to scroll up and down. It'll just display them one by one. And um, in terms of the tabs, I have this little arrow here that allows me to navigate through all of the titles. And here I can add pictures as well. You can add little icons to the titles of the tabs resource as well. It might be harder to click though, so we don't encourage typically larger images here. But if you do want to add an image that's not very large to the title of an accordion, we'll just select another picture, maybe make it 100 pixels this time. The student will be able to just click on the picture and they will display the content. So it's a way to sort of hide more information, and it's a way to help the student navigate and discover information that is not readily available. In terms of adding a lot of text, this is something we try, especially, I mean, with every courses we teach, is not just LIVRESQ related courses, to encourage people not to use large blocks of text. If you do have to include a larger block of text, or if you have to include a document in an e-learning course of any sort, for example, a policy or an important document that you want the learner to go through, then one option, instead of adding it directly in the course, is to add it as an attachment. I'm just going to add a row to make sure that the attachment will display properly. Sorry, I misclicked. And what I did here is add an attachment resource. In order to edit this attachment resource, the principle is the same. I'll double click it. And what this allows me to do is add any file that I want of any extension that the student or the learner can download straight from my course. So if I need them to download something directly from my course, I can click on Change File, add that file. I can give it a description, and this description will be displayed on mouse over. Download this file to find out more. And then we go into preview. Once I hover my mouse over it, I get this description, but of course I can add a text under if I wanted to describe it in more words, or if I wanted to have a description be displayed at all times on the screen. But I can do this. So instead of adding big blocks of text or very large documents and copy pasting everything inside a text, this is a much better solution. Just add the document, the PDF, the file as an attachment. Ask the students to download and study in their own time, because the purpose of an interactive lesson, the purpose of interactive content in general, is to get the learner engaged, to keep them inside the content as much as possible. And unfortunately, because our attention span is getting shorter and shorter, this is harder to do with larger chunks of text. LIVRESQ also works well with a simple text resource. I'll delete this one from here. To add simple text, you just drag and drop, and you can copy paste text from anywhere, from documents you've already created. And I also wanted to, because I keep insisting that we shouldn't have large chunks of text, there are ways to turn larger chunks of text into smaller chunks of text using artificial intelligence inside LIVRESQ. If you have a premium account, you can edit text using AI. You select the text box like I've done here, and on the right-hand side, you navigate to the panel AI Enhancer. And if you click here, you can either assign the platform to perform a certain task on input that you've already provided. So if I had text here pasted from another source, I could give it a task, including summarizing it. For instance, if I want a shorter version, including providing frequently asked questions or scripts or translations or strategies or anything. So if I have content and I want to make it more engaging, I have a list of tasks that I can ask AI to do on my content, or I can just have it generate content. So for instance, explain light to a 10-year-old. This is a very general prompt. Give me 1 second. Maybe I want about 500 characters. I'm sending the query now, the prompt. It's created a bit of text. I can replace the placeholder text here with the text that I've just generated. I have a little bit of text here. So now I have an input for my AI task. And here is where I can give it a task. I can maybe ask for more content. I can ask for a quiz outline. I can ask for a summary of what this says. I've selected my task and I can click on generate again. And here we go. We have less text now. I'm not going to replace this text. I'm going to add it. So now it's just 2 sentences. Much shorter, much easier to digest. And I can do this very easily with AI. I don't have to put in a lot of time. Maybe for frequently asked questions, I can then place this text in an accordion or in tabs or in any type of resource that helps you serve your purpose. Okay, so these are some things that you can do about making text more engaging, and 2 things you can do about making text interactive, 3 actually, counting the attachment as well. If there are any questions either from Zoom or from Facebook, please let me know. I can answer in real time. If there are no more questions, and if you're watching a recording of this on YouTube or if you're watching a fresh recording on Facebook, please don't hesitate to leave your questions in the comments and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. As always, it was a pleasure to be here. We meet every 2 weeks on Thursday at 6:30 CET. So if you have any questions by then, there's always a form that you can fill in, and I'm excited to see you in one of our meetings. Thank you so much and have a great evening, day, or morning, depending on where you are.